Hey guys, this is Mike Orlando. I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Cleveland, Ohio. I got started in real estate investing 3 years ago when my partner and I started buying apartment buildings, and then transitioned into buying other smaller assets for our personal portfolio. At the same time, I became a real estate agent full-time and have been helping other investors, whether it's in-state or out-of-state, also invest here in Cleveland. I wanted to make this YouTube video as my first YouTube video and kind of start my channel off with something simple. So you may have seen online, there's a lot of people right now promoting investing in Section 8 properties. There's some of the gurus, and I don't use guru in a negative term necessarily, but some of the social media gurus are promoting this investment method. And there's a lot of things that I really like about it. My partner and I started doing this about a year ago. Started buying single family properties and smaller assets to rent to voucher holding tenants on the Section 8 program. So in this video, I'm going to dive a little bit into why I like it and some of the just general strategy behind it, at least how we kind of view it and how we've started to build our portfolio. So not to get too crazy in the weeds in this video, that's not really what this video is about, but a general overview of what Section 8 is. It's basically a government-funded program where the government will subsidize a tenant's rent, and they'll pay typically, I would say, between 70 and 100% of the tenant's rent depending on their economic position. So these are tenants or people that are typically below the poverty line that can't really afford living expenses. The government will pay a portion or all of their rent and sometimes give them utility stipends as well. So for a tenant to have this program, they need to get what's called a voucher, and the voucher is issued by the housing authority in that area. Housing authorities in general are overburdened, I would say, in most cases, and typically have a wait list of tenants waiting to get a voucher. So there's a few reasons that this method of investing is pretty attractive. The number one reason I would say is the affordability. Investing in real estate, can be some large barriers to entry, especially if you're starting out with not a lot of cash. In most cases, that is the thing that kind of stops most people from investing in real estate, is they don't have a significant amount of cash to invest. Well, when it comes to buying these properties that you'll rent to Section 8 tenants, you can buy them anywhere, but in general, you're going to spend way less on a property that you rent to a Section 8 tenant when it comes to the actual purchase price and then potentially the renovation cost if it needs some work. Myself and my partner, we're spending between $50,000 and I would say $80,000 on these properties. And that's usually like an all-in cost. So if we buy it for 50, maybe we put 15 or 20 into it, we're all in for 65, 70, or sometimes we buy at the upper end, closer to that 80 range, but it might be more of a rent-ready product. It's a lot easier for most people to go ahead and put 20% down on a $70,000 house than it is for people to go and buy a 10-unit apartment building that's $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 depending on where you live. So the other thing that's attractive is that you're getting these properties at a really, really competitive price point, but they rent for fantastic rents. The housing authorities will set fair market rents above market rent to entice landlords to rent to voucher holding tenants. Because the housing is such a need, they will pay premiums in most cases. So when you buy these houses, let's say $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, it's not that uncommon to be able to lease them for $1,300, $1,400. So you can kind of see that, you're buying down here, but your rent is up here. Typically that means higher cash flow, which is why myself and a lot of other people like this investment method, is it tends to be a higher cash flow play. Now, most people don't get into investing in Section 8 product for appreciation. So I suppose that might go without saying in a lot of instances, but if you're picking up these houses for between $50,000 to $80,000 on average, let's say where I live, and you're renting them for $1,300, $1,400 a month, that's a pretty attractive return on your investment. When it comes to underwriting these deals, it's a pretty simple process, right? Let's say you have a single family house, you have your income, you have your expenses, and then you have your net income or your net operating income. This is relatively easy. You can learn it very quickly. You could start analyzing properties very quickly and therefore kind of get the whole process going a lot quicker than a lot of other investment methods. So for example, you have your rent on a monthly basis, and I'm going to put a picture up on the screen here so you can kind of see how I would do it. But We do a very simple method. We have our rent, we have our expenses, and we have our net on a monthly basis. If the property rents for $1,400 a month times 12, that's your annual income. You have your annual expenses. You typically have your property taxes, you have your insurance, you have your repairs and maintenance, you have your property manager if you have a property manager, and then you have utilities. So in our case, we're passing the utilities on to our tenants typically, at least most of them besides water and sewer. Your property taxes can be found online on the county auditor's website. Your management fee is typically set by the management company, and then your insurance is pretty easy to obtain a quote from your insurance guy. Repairs and maintenance can also be pretty easily assumed. So once you have all these, you're obviously going to want to subtract out the cost of your debt. The cost of your debt is going to be whatever your mortgage is on a monthly basis, depending on the purchase price. Once you subtract out all those expenses and your debt, you'll have your net income, and that's kind of your net cash flow for the month and then on an annual basis. So depending on the return that you want is kind of going to dictate what price you offer on these houses. We like to see a healthy double-digit cash-on-cash return for these houses. You want to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze and that you're getting the return on the money that you want for the work that you're putting in. So once we've identified a property, we've underwritten it, and we can see that we're going to achieve the return that we would like to get on the property, we'll of course make an offer, put it under contract, go through the due diligence process, and then close on it. And what I'm going to do in the rest of this video is show you a property that we just purchased, kind of show you what we look for, kind of how we renovate. This was a light renovation, and then just kind of explain a few things walking through. This video was not meant to be an extremely in-depth look at the process, whether it's going through the housing authority or screening tenants or whatever. This was more of an overview and strategy kind of video. I learned best personally by just learning a little bit, doing some research on my own, and then just going and doing it, and that's kind of what this is supposed to be, and kind of explain, why we do it and kind of how we do it just as a general overview. So let's go take a look at this house that we just bought. So I'm here in the backyard now, standing in front of the garage, as you can see, but wanted to walk you around, show you again what we look for when we buy these houses, and then I'll show you how we renovate them as well, kind of what our standard is for many of these homes. And yeah, hopefully this gives you a good idea of, what you should be looking for as well. So I'm gonna start in the backyard here. But when we bought this house, it was all vinyl siding already. You could see the vinyl siding is relatively new. The roof is in great shape, and all the windows are vinyl windows as well, which is good because when they're old wood, a lot of times they will have lead-based paint, which in Cleveland here is something that they are not very fond of. And they started doing inspections for the lead-based paint as well, so it's always good to have the vinyl windows. But you can see there's a nice little backyard. Got the 2-car garage here, also vinyl sided on the garage, and the roof is new. Driveway is in decent shape. It is good enough for this purpose. One thing we will do here is we will go through and actually flex seal, like I'm sure you've seen the infomercials. We'll flex seal where the driveway meets the foundation. We've noticed that it does help with any potential dampness or water intrusion. Our guys are funny, they actually flex sealed the whole side of this house. They misunderstood a little bit, but obviously you're not gonna take it off. So here's the neighborhood. It's a nice little neighborhood here in Cleveland. This is not an area that I would consider any kind of war zone or super high crime. There's a mixture of renters and owner occupants. Our neighbor here, I believe, is an owner occupant actually, but it's quiet. There's not a lot of cars whizzing around and cars parked in the street and things like that, which is always nice. So here's the front of the house. You can see vinyl siding. You can see the roof is in great shape. Just got a small front yard here. But then again, this is, kind of what we look for. We like these kind of small, simple 3 or 4 bed houses with newer roofs and the vinyl windows and the siding. Just looks really nice and clean. It's definitely attractive to the tenants. So we're walking in the house here. You can see the paint is all one color. So the trim and the walls, we do the same off-white like to keep it simple. We do flush mount LEDs for the lights, new locks, deadbolt, etc. Here's something. We had like a closet here and over here. The doors were not very functional, and we knew that was going to end up being a maintenance call, so we just removed them actually and just painted the inside of it. But you can see we just did a vinyl plank flooring throughout, a nice light oak color. Always looks good with the white walls. So when we got this, the walls were all gray, super dark in here. The floor was hardwood, but there was sticky stuff all over it. Couldn't be cleaned. So that's kind of why we went with the vinyl plank flooring. It lasts a while. We prefer that over the carpet. And we brightened it up with the paint. And for simplicity's sake, like I said, we did the walls, the trim, the doors, all one color. It's easy to touch up. On these hallway closets, we did these accordion doors. They're super cheap. They don't stand up to too much abuse, but they're very cheap to replace, which is nice. There's a bedroom, lights, again, just went with the LEDs. Windows are all vinyl. These ones do have the sliding closet doors. Those function just fine. In the bathroom here, we just do a vinyl surround and we glaze the tub. Standard toilet, standard vanity. That's me. And then we did a new vanity light here. This light is not what we typically use. This is a kind of funny thing actually. It's got a low light setting on it. And then walk into the kitchen here. Same vinyl plank throughout. We had these cabinets already here. Just painted them gray and did some new hardware. And then we did a new countertop, sink, and faucet. Just a really simple faucet is all you need. And then a Formica countertop. We did get stainless appliances. They look really nice. Our contractor got a pretty good deal on these, so we just went with that. And then we did a new oven hood vent as well. So in the basement, keep it simple. Again, we just painted the stairs and the floor gray. Come down here, just looks nice and clean for the tenants. We have a dehumidifier going, which we'll leave here. But you can see just your typical basement, but when you paint the floors gray and we dry lock the walls here, it always looks really nice and fresh. We replaced the hot water tank. Mechanicals are important when you do these houses. You know, you don't want to be coming here or have your guys have to go over here. As soon as you place a tenant and the hot water's not working or the heat's not working, that's, you know, a call that you get frequently if your mechanicals are not new or in good shape. So you always want to make sure that they're either, you know, taken care of. You could usually tell if there's a lot of corrosion around the fittings here, or the valves up here, or the tank is rusting here at the seams or expanding. You know, you're probably gonna need a new one. We put a new utility sink in. And then again, here's a dehumidifier. So, you know, keep it simple, but clean, and try and minimize those maintenance calls. This furnace was here. It's a relatively new furnace. We just did a new filter on there. And in the lease, you'll want to let the tenants know that the filter is actually going to be their responsibility. So we'll go upstairs here. Painted the stairs gray. This carpet was already here, so we did not take it out, just left it. It's actually relatively new. Looks great. Painted up here as well. And one thing we do is the new cover plates and switches. Always freshens the feel up quite a bit. Here's another bedroom. Again, it's a 3-bedroom house. There's your closet. And a bedroom here as well. Same thing, there's your closet. So this is kind of what our standard renovation looks like for a house like this. About $12,000 all in for everything here. That's how much we budgeted. That's how much made sense in our numbers. So kind of just make it work. But that's a quick overview. One thing to look for, or I guess a few things to look for when you're coming through and doing this work, is you want to make sure that your appliances are all functioning, test them, make sure the fan up here works, make sure your light works, go through, make sure your faucets, everything's working, your hot water's working. Under the sink here, you want to make sure this is clean and in good shape. Usually we actually will have our guys flex seal this, so they actually forgot to do that. So I'm gonna have them go through and take care of that. We like to do a coat of flex seal on the sink base, because when this gets messed up, it's a pain in the ass to fix it. And you don't want to replace the whole base. So we're gonna go through, have them flex seal this, just in case there's any leaks. Little trick for you. But that's it. It's pretty simple. Like I said, you want to keep it simple. You don't want to overdo it here, but you want it to be nice, clean, and affordable, of course. So that's what one of these typical Section 8 rentals looks like when we renovate them. It's pretty standard throughout. It's good. Your contractor will learn what the standard is and will know, what they need to do. That helps streamline everything. So I hope this is helpful. I'll have a lot more of these coming up. We have a couple in the pipeline. We have one that we just closed on actually that I'm gonna go to after this. But we already walked a potential tenant through here the other day. We just started advertising. We're getting blown up on this thing. And she loved it. It's just a matter of making sure she qualifies. But the tenant is gonna be responsible for lawn care and snow removal here, just like with most single family homes. And then she's gonna pay, or whoever we select will pay electric and gas. We will pay the water, sewer, and just increase the rent a little bit. We have this advertised for $1,400. I think we can actually get a little bit more for it. But we did advertise for $1,400 to start, to see the traction here. And we're getting blown up on this thing. So we'll probably have someone selected here pretty soon, but yeah, everything is looking pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's what it needs to be for the type of product that this is and to serve its purpose. It's clean, it's safe, and it's a nice place for someone. It's a nice house, nice neighborhood, so someone will be really happy with this. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe. If you want to stay in touch, please leave a comment and I can send you an email address or something to get in touch. Hopefully it was helpful. I'm going to plan to keep making more content like this and hopefully be consistent with it. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.